till for another 2 hours.
Okay, yes, you were live. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Jordan's getting punchy. That's how tired we
Let's
are.
clean this up behind us so we could be professional.
That's what I said before we started. I was like, it's messy, and then, you know, this is. We'll get rid of the cookie box, which I had nothing to do with. Put it over there. Well, we're not advertising Starbucks.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Colin.
Hi everyone. We've been working pretty hard today. We're punchy and tired because we got up really early. I, in fact, pretty much didn't sleep last night. It was important that we get up early though and be out there reporting early because we went to Kensington, the Kensington area of Philadelphia, which is where we are still right now. We extended Philly a bit because there were so many really important folks to interview today. There was a rumor, well not a rumor, but cops had put up a notice for houseless folks living in Kensington that they had to be cleared out, that they were going to do a sweep this morning. Then they said, oh, we're actually not going to do the sweep, but people didn't know if that was just kind of a ploy to prevent media from showing up. So either way, status quo, of course, was showing up. So that's what we did. We showed up very early and we stayed there for several hours.
Can I just take a detour for a second? John, if possible, can you make sure status is in the frame? Because I don't want YouTube to see only...
It's not.
No, status is cut off. I don't want YouTube to only see all caps Coup and say we are part of the, you know, undesirables that can't be on the platform.
I guess I should like sit up and like slouch too. Guys, look at this.
I'll just show you what it looks like.
Professionalism.
Open up fully. Full.
Oh, now I see it.
Yeah.
Now we're good. Okay. Just making sure. Making
We're all
sure.
good. Yeah, it's all good.
Everybody, smash that like button. Smash that like button. I'm well aware that there are other folks live.
Why would you tell them? Don't. There's no one else live.
Well,
Just us.
let's not pretend. I'm aware. Corporate media right now it's the political Super Bowl. Russia, Putin, Biden. Did they shake hands enough? Was it firm? Was it soft? Did he blink? What'd they say to each other? How'd they say it? Biden yelled at a reporter. If it was Trump, it would be the end of the world. Biden, oh, well, he apologized, so it's okay. Obviously, you know, there are other channels focused on other things, and I won't get into that, but we are doing really, really, I'd say, important work out here. And we plan on going next to Cleveland, Ohio. After that, we plan on West Virginia, you know, pending, you know, everything's subject to change, subject to how much money we have. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think that, and share this live stream in addition to liking it, please, if you can, support us. It's statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. The Other Pandemic. Statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. So I think we should kind of set the scene, Jen. And
well, first I want to show everyone our laptops.
Oh, okay.
Which we need to carve out the status more. I got these on Etsy, and I can link the shop, but they're very cool. They do custom, like, real wooden cases. So everyone last road trip we were on was yelling at us because we have the Apple logo on our laptops. So I thought this time let's get the status coup going, and yeah, I think it's cool, pretty cool.
Right. And by the way, the question is this a TV that has Status Coup digitally on it or something else? You let me know. So, yeah, we have cool, things now on our computer, so that's exciting.
Very eloquent today.
Um,
God. Thank you all for watching.
So Jesse said, what is the purpose of going to these places?
Oh,
Jessica. Jesse, I don't know if you're talking about going to
You
these
also can't read.
Cities. I think the purpose is, to me, and I've seen this for going on 6 years now, there's an alternate reality in this country that I call the United Corporations of America. There is a alternate reality that comes because the mainstream media that has been bought by multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates does not go and show you the exploding homelessness crisis, does not go and talk about the economic terrorism, i.e. gentrification, does not go and actually expose corruption on the local city council level, on the state level, and the federal level. So that's why we go. It's sometimes we feel like we're just spinning our wheels, but we think it's important to show reality. And the reality is the mainstream corporate media that right now is, chomping at the bit over the Biden-Putin Super Bowl, they are not covering the fact that, they're framing the fact, they're trying to manufacture consent for the fact. Actually, John and I just saw it on CNN, where an anchor said, as things get back to normal, well, the normal is there's an exploding homelessness crisis in this country. There are millions of people that are facing eviction in 2 weeks. There are, I don't know the number, but a lot of people prematurely having their unemployment cut off. There are cities everywhere in America, like Philadelphia, that are literally a tale of two cities, because on one end you have wonderful restaurants, wonderful hotels, wonderful bars, wonderful shops, nice parks, nice water fountains, and about 10, 15 minutes down the road, in some cases closer, you have what looks like some third world countries. No disrespect to those third world countries. And that's going on in Philadelphia and elsewhere. And fast forward today, and remember, please smash the like button. Please share this live stream. Let me send this to somebody if they could help us.
And right now, I am actually sending a push notification. Everybody right now, open up a new tab in your browser, in your computer browser. You should be able to do this on mobile as well. Not Safari, sorry Safari, we gotta figure that out. But open up statuscoup.com and it should now pop up and say something like, do you want notifications from Status Coup? And click yes, because then we can send you push notifications when we go live. This is a way for us to cut down on the cost of text messaging everyone, which we're still doing, but we're trying to, we have an app that's in process of getting approved, which will have push notifications. So anyway, get on statuscoup.com, click yes, and you'll get push notifications, which by the way will also update you when we have new articles on the site and other new exciting things. So go ahead and do that.
So I want to set the scene, and by the way, please, if you can, we'll give you shout outs while we're live. Statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. Do you want to show them the page?
Go ahead, because unless
okay.
you don't have it.
I can show them. Hold on. Statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. So we're calling this trip The Other Pandemic America. So there's Jen and I. There's us on a camera. So you got Status Coup road trip, The Other Pandemic. Let me put the brightness up here. Mm-hmm. Status Coup road trip, The Other Pandemic. There's the flag with us driving. John's in the trunk, so you can't see him. He's not in there, but there's a cartoon. Who made that?
Oh, it's a lovely fella. I gotta remember his name. Sorry.
Sorry, lovely fella.
It's been a while. It's been several months, and it's a screen name, so I don't recall it.
And right here in this beautiful button, support this trip, and it gives you different ways to support the trip. We're posting different photos for the trip, and as we have time, we will be updating the page with different blog posts and all that. Here you can see some of the photos that we've been updating with. There's my interview with the great activist Veronica.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Here's Jen and I speaking after that. Here's my interview with a really incredibly passionate, authentic, and suffering homeless individual, Kazim, which that interview is up. He was a construction worker, and he got evicted during the pandemic and has been sleeping in a park, often under a train, for over a year. His mother actually just died a few days ago, and he couldn't go to the funeral. Images of the garbage on the street. We've been taking photos of the, massive homelessness. So definitely check it out. The Other Pandemic, statuscoup.com/the other pandemic, because frankly, there's a lot of channels right now doing a lot of clickbait nonsense about people fighting. We're out in the field, in the trenches, exposing the reality of this multi-trillion-dollar corporate conglomerate masquerading as a democratic society. So,
I think this is just, listen to it. I think it's just the fan that people are saying static.
saying static?
But I'm asking you, listen. Does it sound okay? Hold on, friends.
We're out in the field.
Go to statuscoup.com/text, and you can get on our new text list. We imported all of you over who already were part of the text list, but telecommunications companies are super greedy and made it impossible for us to continue to afford our short code, which is the shorter number that you would have texted before.
Do you know how to turn that off?
You can just go to, no, I'll die.
Okay.
You guys can deal with it. I'm sorry. I got long hauler COVID. I'm hot. Statuscoup.com/text.
Right. So I don't know what the audio is. I mean, we're in a hotel room. The AC is blasting, which we need. So let us know if it's unbearable, and we'll try to work it out. So I want to set the scene here.
Thank you, Daryl. $10 in the super chat. Ameriscam USA. Yeah, I like it.
Somebody's saying an echo. I'm not hearing an echo. We've been updating with.
There was an echo because we were playing the audio.
Maybe the computer is too close. Could that be it?
No, it's fine.
All right, because I was hearing a little static.
Yeah, there was static, but there's no echo. It was simply the thing was playing.
So we got here Monday, and it was abundantly clear that there's an explosion of homelessness in Philadelphia. It was happening before the COVID pandemic and has only accelerated here. There's also people that have been being affected, have been evicted despite the eviction moratorium. So Monday, we started out with those interviews with Veronica, a great activist, then Kazim, who's homeless right now. Then yesterday we interviewed, it's all a blur. Actually, we took a different story, interviewed an LGBTQIA, LGBTQIA plus couple. I hope I have the letters right.
You do.
Couple that was discriminated against by Applebee's, who never responded to my request for comment. Then at night, we interviewed a really awesome professor and her student who just filed a federal lawsuit, to stop the evictions of homeless people in Philadelphia. And that all is up on the channel. We'll be cutting these up into shorter videos if you don't have time to watch the full, I think, 2-hour live stream. So during all this, we were hearing and seeing public notice that the police today would be doing sweeps. And if you're not familiar, sweeps are basically just forceful evictions of homeless people. They do it in Seattle, they do it in Portland, San Francisco, LA, New York City, Chicago, and here. And essentially they just go around. Often the police misdirect that they're helping clean the streets and push the homeless off street corners, off parks, away from trains, basically push them like they're little trash to be moved. And often they steal their property. There's been times they rough up the homeless, and essentially they just shift the homeless and force them out of one area, which only makes them have to go to another because they're not actually doing anything to help the homeless. And, not the police aren't necessarily the agency that would do that. Help them get into housing, get mental health services, rehabilitation for drug addiction. A lot of these homeless people, their problems stem or started from childhood traumas, childhood suffering that went untreated. And we've all had issues in our life, some more severe than others. So I woke up at 6:30, I don't know about you, this morning, because
Didn't sleep.
you just don't know. The poster we saw said be there at 7. Some people said police were going to come at 9. I know in other cities, whatever time the police say they're going to come, often they come much earlier to kind of get the protesters off their game and not have cameras. So we got there, I don't know, around 7:38. And already there was a big crowd of protesters on one side of the street. There were also counter-protesters on another side of the street. And these counter-protesters were mostly, not all of them, but mostly residents of the area, Kensington, which is a neighborhood in Philadelphia. Let's just call it what it is, very poor. A lot of homelessness, a lot of drug use, homelessness, trash, people ODing, people living well below the poverty level in most places in this neighborhood. And between the protesters and the counter-protesters, the protesters on one side were fighting to stop the cops from evicting homeless people. The counter-protesters on the other side, the residents, want these people out of their neighborhoods because they're seeing, they're tired of living in a sea of needles. They're tired of homeless people defecating near their homes. They feel unsafe for their children to walk through the park or to the park. They claim homeless people pickpocket it, all these things. But in between all of these, the protesters, the counter-protesters, is a sea of homelessness. On the corner we were at, homeless people all over. Some visibly ill. So we started off interviewing an activist here who's been in the fight for a long time. We're going to show you that interview. It wasn't on the live stream. We recorded it. And then we moved to the counter-protesters. And I don't know, Jen, I've been called a lot of things journalistically.
And otherwise.
I've been called a lot of things journalistically. I don't know, a hack, biased, a loser. A Trump supporter called me once. Short. I remember that. A Trump supporter who didn't like my questioning said, you're really short. But I've never, ever, and remember, smash that like button, share this live stream, pretty please, share it. I've never had somebody walk away because they, quote, I was intimidating. I asked John, was it the Moses mic? Was it the Moses mic that intimidated him? My wife said it might have been my voice. I saw other comments that it must have been the sunglasses. Others, it must have been making him think. So I'll play some of the interview if you haven't caught it yet. We published it a few hours ago, and I think Jen and I will want to react. to this. So,
Well, I think that it's worth
go ahead.
what?
No, go ahead.
I think it's worth saying that, so Jordan just laid out that there were protesters who were protesting against the city and against the city's lack of action for those who are unhoused. And then there were those who were protesting against the homeless, against those who are unhoused. Choose your battles, right? But also what we discovered, I spent a lot of time away from the live stream what that Jordan was doing, and I actually connected, which you guys will see later, we'll upload it, but I connected with a gentleman, I keep wanting to say fella today, like I don't know, a gentleman who is he's wonderful, he's amazing, his name is Kenny, and he really truly took me on a tour essentially and introduced me to his pals. And I have so many thoughts on this. I will definitely be doing an extended members video about my thoughts on meeting Kenny and getting invited into his world. And what I discovered though is you'll see some of these signs that these protesters who were protesting against the unhoused, some of their signs specify a certain neighborhood that is not Kensington. So these people came out of their own neighborhood where there are, you know, unhoused folks there, but they came down to Kensington to protest essentially these people. And that this is not their neighborhood. Also, Kenny pointed out they have one thing the city has done is placed porta potties. So whereas these people are trying to say like, oh, you know, they're just like shitting on my doorstep, that is dramatically not the case anymore. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, certainly, but it's largely been not resolved, but there are things in place, steps in place to prevent that. And like, no one wants to defecate in the street. It's people do that because they have to. What else are they going to do? Or their circumstances are such that they're have a disease of addiction, and so perhaps they don't realize. But some of the things that these folks were saying, these protesters against the unhoused, aren't accurate. And so they try to paint a picture of like, oh, poor me, look what's happened to me, I'm so scared for my kids. And I'm not saying those aren't concerns, but it's like, okay, you have issues with what's happening, you have issues with the fact that there's feces or urine or someone, you know, using outside of your doorstep. Why would you go to the people who don't have power to fix it? Why would you protest those folks? You go to the power. You protest the city. No, it'll be too hot.
No, I'm not covering it.
You protest the city. You protest power. I don't get the idea of putting down people who don't have any power. It doesn't make any sense. So I just wanted you guys to have that perspective as well before we show you this guy who Jordan was so intimidating with, you know, by asking a question. Just wow, real sensitive fella.
And apologies, we're in a hotel room. We need AC. So I think the AC is what you're hearing, but you should be able to hear us. You know, we'll try to get 60 minutes resources in the near future. Statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. Help us get better equipment. So I want to play some of this because I think it's a really telling interview. So we might start and stop a little bit. If you missed it, here's my interview with Alfred. Alfred.
Jordan, move your computer back a little bit. And then take the side that's closer to you and push it towards me.
Philadelphia, where in Kensington, which is a pretty rundown, poor area, a lot of homelessness. Police are out here, other places, trying to move homeless people, evict them, sweep them. I'm here with
Alfred Klosterman.
And Alfred, do you live in Kensington?
The next sale stop up, Harrogate. This is actually the beginning of Harrogate. Yeah.
Is the audio okay? Because it's train.
I would like to correct a statement where you said homeless people. These are not homeless people. These are drug addicts who are here for the drugs. Many of them are 20-somethings who could go home with mom and dad tomorrow, but the drugs are here, so they're here. And
So why do you think they're on drugs?
I have no idea why, but they all have been herded into our community by the city and social forces, and we're stuck with dealing with it. I mean, you come out every morning, and needles everywhere, human waste everywhere. Just this morning, a flower pot was stolen off my porch because down the other end of my block is a big drug market.
So let's stop right there.
Hashtag justice for Alfred.
Hashtag flower pot. Let's stop right there. Okay, so,
Not a pot to piss in.
do you remember if in school there was an exercise, I think in like second or third grade, and it was fact and opinion. Fact and opinion. So the fact is these folks are physically homeless. They are living on the street, Alfred. They don't have a bed, a roof, heat in the winter, air condition in the summer, a shower, a toilet. So you might have an opinion on what kind of homeless people they are, drug addicts, as you derogatorily said, but there is no debate that they are homeless. Do I have that wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
Secondly, and I mean this, not trying to diminish Alfred's concerns here, but your flower pot is not the most urgent issue in Philadelphia or America. Nobody's condoning theft of your flower pot, but it's a little interesting that that's your priorities, your flower pot. Let's continue.
If they can sell a flower pot or a tool or something for $5, they go down the other end of the block, buy their heroin.
So, if there's drug use that residents don't like, if there's bowel movements on the floor that residents don't like, is it the homeless people's fault that don't have toilets or can't get relief for their drug problem, or is it the city's fault? They have a lot of abandoned properties, a lot of open space for the homeless, but they do patchwork programs, but they don't actually try and house the homeless. John, do you feel intimidated yet?
I'm shaking.
Tactics of yours.
No, I'm genuinely asking. Do you feel intimidated by my tactics of asking him a question
No.
and politely saying, "Wait, let me finish my sentence"?
I mean, I wasn't like.
Can the audience tell me? Is the audience feeling intimidated yet? No, I'm genuinely curious if anyone's intimidated.
Scary.
Because obviously I don't want to intimidate anyone I interview. I know he's really emotional about his flower pot, so that might have went into this.
Maybe I'll like show up tomorrow to his doorstep with like 10 flower pots and just place them on his.
Jessica said she's shaking. So, continue. Don't crap out on me here.
Smash that like button, folks. Share this stream. It's unbelievable that we have 115 people watching right now on YouTube. I don't know about the other channels right now, but That's just absurd.
Wait, that don't have toilets? Or can't get relief for their drug problem? Or is it the city's fault? They have a lot of abandoned properties, a lot of open space for the homeless, but they do patchwork programs, but they don't actually try and house the homeless. Aren't you kind of targeting or blaming the wrong group of people rather than the city?
Not at all, because like I said, many of them have homes to go to, and the city has offered them housing and...
You've taken a survey that they have homes to go to? Do you have data that how many have homes?
Yeah, I can't say, I'll say it's anecdotal. But yeah, you talk to them, you talk to people, well, yeah, I have a wife here, I have parents there, but let's go to the drugstore. Now, the city has offered them treatment, offered them housing, and they won't leave.
That's talking to homeless people. I hear the exact opposite. I hear the exact opposite. That they were put it up. So, I wanna make a point, and I know Jen knows a lot about this from people she's spoken with and other things. Alfred, when he says that these people aren't homeless, they have family to go to, they have shelters, blah 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 blah. What he's not taking into consideration is a lot of these people's wrong turn in life, if you want to call it that, stem from their family, stem from trauma as a child, stem from abuse from their family, immediate or second cousins and things like that. So I have spoken with homeless people that don't want to go to their parents because they've been abused, or their parents are drug users and they don't want to relapse. So to say that all of these people could just take the train or however they would get there and go live with their family is just incredibly uninformed and ignorant. Secondly, when he says, they're all just drug addicts, this and that, many people start doing drugs when they've become homeless. It's a way of coping. I had an interview later on the live stream with someone who said it was a choice. It's technically, you could make the argument, but it's also a disease. Your brain is not functioning because it's a disease. Gambling is a disease. Excessive gambling, alcoholism, you name it. So these generalizations that Albert, and it's not just him, there were others there doing the same thing. There are others in yuppie white areas of town that say the same thing. These are not all people that are just degenerate, drug addict, grifters who don't want to go get a place to live. It's just not the case. You have anything?
Yeah, I have a lot of things. I could fume about this for a long time. Love JJ, love you, but dogging Alfred out, no. If you spending time there, so we've reported in a lot of areas where there are unhoused folks. It's really bad in Portland. Jordan was just in San Francisco. It is bad in so many spots. You guys just saw I reported it in DC, and did some important interviews there. But Kensington, I have never seen anything like this. Never. I don't know how Alfred can stand there talking about his fucking flower pot surrounded by what you're surrounded by when you're in Kensington.
Justice for Alfred.
Alfred can go somewhere with bad words in it. And I think it's really just, of all the things that you could spend your time doing, this is what Alfred is spending his time doing. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for Alfred. And Jordan hinted that I do have personal experience with this. I don't talk about this often. I have mentioned it to you guys, and I don't really know. I don't think that she would mind me saying this, but my mother, I didn't grow up with my mother because her entire family is drug addicted, and she's been mostly homeless her entire life. She's been on her own since she was 12 years old, living on her own, homeless, and for, you know, sexual abuse, drug abuse, physical abuse, the things I saw and experienced when I would be sent there in California, which is where I was born, are incredibly traumatizing. But without getting too much into it, it was like a tale of two lives for me. Whereas like one life wasn't great, but it wasn't that, like it wasn't homeless. And I just, it's not like, what is someone who is 12 years old, whose entire family is drug addicted, and their husbands beat all of the women daily, coming in black and blue and bloody, and what is a person like that supposed to do? Like, not steal a flower pot? I don't care about your flower pot, Alfred. So I don't know how, whether someone has experience with this or not, you could make your stand being, I don't want, you know, drug addicted people here, and someone stole my flower pot. Like, how is that your thing? I'm sorry your life is so hard, dude. Get over it. Help, like, go to the people in power, as I said before. I don't care about Alfred's flower pot. I don't care about disparaging Alfred. Like, who cares? I don't care about you, Alfred. I care about the people who are all over Kensington, the devastation all over Kensington, the people who are dying constantly. I have an interview that I will post of a woman who was there protesting against the city, who is a former unhoused individual who lived in Kensington. And she had a corporate job, a nice corporate job, you know, she was well dressed, went to her corporate job, and then her doctor for pain prescribed her an opioid. And then she got addicted. And then she became an unhoused person. This isn't like, who, no one's choosing this. No one's choosing to go shit on your flower pot, Alfred. No one's choosing this. This is systemic. This is the problem. So I don't, honestly, guys, I can't. I don't care about the hum. If the hum is bothering you, bye. Deal with it, okay? This is really frustrating. We have so many important interviews to talk about. People are talking about bullshit on all the other channels right now. I don't care. What I care about are those people in Kensington and these important interviews getting out. So seriously, deal with it. And I really hope that if someone doesn't have experience with this or compassion for these folks, get out of your bubble, get out of your zone, and you know, watch these interviews, watch who we're showing you. CNN's not out there, and specifically in one of the interviews I did today with Kenny, the gentleman I told you about who took me on a tour and kind of took me under his wing a bit, I mentioned the media, and he said that, yeah, I mean, I said a lot of, some people have told us that when the media does come down here, they turn it into a spectacle of drugs. Like, oh, look at these people nodding out. Look at this, look at that. Oh, you know, they turn it into clickbait. They do exploit these people. And I asked, I said, is that your experience? And he said, honestly, no. And I was surprised for a second. And then he said, because they just stand across the street and stare at us or film us. They don't come talk to us. And so for me being there, for Jordan being there and talking to these folks, that's what it takes, and that's what we're showing you.
And by the way, I just want to make a point. And like Jen said, you know, we're in a hotel room. It's really hot outside, so we have the air conditioning on. That's the hum you're hearing. I'm sorry, but we can't.
I have long hauler COVID. Like, I get overheated. I seriously, if another person says it, I will literally fly through the roof. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to upset you. I'm just telling you guys what it is. They have, you know, it's the air conditioning, so hopefully you could deal with it. I'm listening and you could hear the mic fine. So, by the way, somebody said, oh, you're like something like you're just picking on Alfred. This ain't about Alfred. Alfred is one of many. It's not about Alfred the person. It's about the distorted ignorance here. So I'm not doing this to mock Alfred, this and that. I think his words speak for themselves, and we're not finished, by the way. I'm doing this to show you, and I think we're going to show you other things, that the government and the media, and this has happened under Trump, it's happened before Trump, it's happening in other countries, have expertly brainwashed downtrodden, working poor, working class people to look at each other, blame the Mexicans, blame the Muslims, blame the Hispanics, blame LGBTQ, when they should be blaming City Hall, when they should be shaming City Hall or the state capitol or the Congress. Let's play a little bit more.
Also, I want you guys to recognize that Alfred is holding a Harwood sign. That is not Kensington. That's blocks and blocks away from Kensington. So he literally came from his own neighborhood to come to a different neighborhood to protest a different neighborhood's houseless population.
During COVID, evicted soon after. The city promised them permanent housing to leave the hotel and then didn't follow through. So either many homeless people are not telling the truth or the city's not telling the truth.
Many homeless people aren't. In fact,
I can trust the politicians.
not politicians, I trust government employees. And I happen to know the head of the opioid response unit, and she was talking to me yesterday saying, no, this is on the table for them, but you cannot force them, and that's the problem. If you force them, then you get the ACLU, whoever, say, oh, you can't kidnap them. But no, there are offers on the table for them.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be confrontational, but you do know that government... So, John, when I said I'm not trying to be confrontational, is that the point you got intimidated? Were you intimidated at that point?
So scared.
Often don't tell the truth, whether it's the CIA, whether it's whether it's politicians, they tell half-truths. My point to you is, I'm pretty sure, I've covered homelessness not just here, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. It's very similar in most places. It is 100% the case that the majority of these people would happily leave the streets if they had permanent affordable housing. Or now, I just spoke with a homeless person who was a construction worker, got laid off during the pandemic, has been sleeping in a park for over a year, can't get another construction job because he doesn't have a residence to put on and the shelters have not allowed him back in. So it seems that you're making generalizations without...
You're making generalizations based on anecdotal data of your own.
Anecdotal? No, I've been to many, many cities. This is very, very common.
San Francisco, Palo Alto, all over the West Coast. And I do know the difference between homeless and drug addiction.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
If people are here just for the drugs and don't want to leave, that's the difference. And you're not being fair. If you're being a journalist,
I should stand like a robot. Okay.
You should be fair and neutral, to borrow a Fox phrase, which I don't listen to. But
neutral is bullshit. None of them are neutral. They're all biased. But putting that aside, what I find interesting here, and I'm sure you're a good guy. I'm sure you've gone through struggle in your life, whether it was maybe not drugs, maybe mental health. Was that the point where I clobbered him over the head with a baseball bat when I said, I'm sure you're a good guy?
So bad. Well, I want to point out that you said to him, I'm sure you've gone through struggle in your life. And I think that that's a very valid and important point. I actually did a little bit of digging, and I do think that Alfred does go through struggles. And I do think Alfred, is certainly not sitting in a castle atop a throne. He's struggling too. But you know what? That's what they do. That's what those empowered do. They make those who have less fight one another. They have us fighting and clashing with one another so that they can all party, like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk going up in outer space and having their cocktail parties and doing whatever they're doing, because we're all distracted fighting one another. All of us who are struggling, all of us who are not making enough money. That's what they do.
Divide and conquer. But I think the thing that maybe you're missing is, these people don't have air conditioning during the summer. You do. These people, okay. These. If you didn't hear him, he claimed he didn't have air conditioning.
Which I think is likely true.
Most people in my community are what they call deep poverty, under 12,000 a year.
You just made my point, though. People here with housing are struggling very badly, and
neighbors like these drug addicts do. And I think I've had enough. All due respect to you, you don't like your viewpoint being challenged. I don't like your intimidating tactics, quite frankly.
I'm intimidating?
Never mind.
Okay. That's what happens. I will give many Trump supporters more credit. When I've interviewed them, I can't really remember any of them walking away. A self-described progressive said I was intimidating him. I don't know if it's a stick. John, was I intimidating?
I don't think so. I think you were very,
I said respectfully, I'm short. John, could you come over here for a second? Hold on. Sit in my seat.
You're very intimidating. The way you asked me to come over here.
Real quick. Is the intimidation me asking questions, me challenging anecdotal bullshit, me pushing back on I should be more neutral and a robot, which is again nonsense and nobody is, or what is your thought why he said I'm intimidating him?
Just because you kept pressing, you kept challenging him. That's the reason why he felt intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all it comes down to.
And can you describe for the audience what you saw in Kensington?
It was horrible. How do you put that into words? I've never seen anything like that. I've traveled around and people walking around, most, they don't look healthy, they don't look normal, they look in really bad shape, and, they're all around each other, helping each other, and just getting by, with the community. But yeah, they all looked very unhealthy. Falling asleep on trash cans, on the sidewalk. Yeah, it's hard to even put into words what we saw.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, a couple takeaways before we move on. Number one, this issue is not completely black or white. I did speak with counter-protesters out there, and by the way, if you didn't get a chance to watch the live stream, at one point, the protesters that were out there that were trying to stop the evictions of homeless people in Kensington, and the counter-protesters who want them out, actually crossed the street and united, and came together on one side of the street and started doing speeches together, calling out the real culprit, which is the city of Philadelphia, the government that's bought off by Comcast, that's bought off by real estate developers, that's bought off by all these fat cats, the government that has willingly sold the city to real estate developers so that they could gentrify and create a tale of two cities and push these people out. And yeah, it kind of lasted for a short time because then they started disagreeing again. But at least at some point, one counter-protester went across the street, approached the protesters, and said, we should be on the same side here. Why are we fighting each other? And we'll have footage of that for you that wasn't part of the live. But I do want to say, although I don't agree with Alfred, and I think he's ignorant, particularly on drug addiction, the residents of Kensington, their concerns are valid. Not in terms of some of them that, like Alfred, who look at homeless people, to me, like rats. but I did speak with residents who themselves live in deep poverty, who don't want needles all over their neighborhood that their children are seeing, don't want defecation on the street. I spoke with one woman who, I guess there was defecation on her property. Don't want their children having to walk through this, being exposed to these conditions and these sites. And although my instincts would be to put those most vulnerable before myself, I do understand it, and I don't have children yet, so I do understand that. But, and a lot of these people are struggling themselves, the people in that neighborhood that are housed in deep poverty, multiple jobs, getting no assistance or help from the government. And, they feel, well, where's our rescue? But as I was trying to point out to Alfred, and I pointed out to other people, if you're concerned for your children, you have a right to be. If you want your neighborhood clean and feel safe, you have an obvious right to that. But who is to blame for it? Is it these homeless people? Or is it the country, the state, the city that is allowing these people to fall by the wayside? Again, you're pointing at the wrong target. Of course, your neighborhood should be clean. You shouldn't have people all over the streets, needles, things like that. I totally agree. But it's not these people's choice to be there, despite what Alfred thinks. So if you would turn the fight from trying to get the homeless out to trying to fight with the protesters to get the city to actually give them permanent, affordable, clean, safe housing, the problem could be really improved really quickly. You have any thoughts on that?
I have so many thoughts swirling around. There's one point I really wanted to make, but no, I can't recall. I think it's just a matter of people truly don't understand. They're truly not blaming the right folks. And as Jordan said, and the point we're making is like a lot of these folks are in poverty themselves, and it's not a matter. And so again, it's not about Alfred. It is about this whole group that is focusing their energy. I mean, we'll put up the flyer that they sent out to promote this counter protest that they had going. It is completely just it has no compassion or understanding. It literally X's out the folks who the folks who were protesting against the city made a flyer to announce their protest. So the counter protesters literally grabbed their flyer, X'd it out, and put their own stuff to say like, oh no, you guys are wrong to protest, against the city, which is the real cause of this, the system. And they put this up instead. I'll pull it up at some point so we can have John zoom in on it. But I think it's a matter of, it's not Alfred. Alfred is a symbol. I wish Alfred well. I truly do.
And his pot.
And his pot. I hope that he can find a new pot friend. Like perhaps he was close to this flower pot. I don't know. I do wish Alfred well. I want him to do well. I don't want him to be in poverty. I want him to have air conditioning. I want Alfred to live a happy, healthy life. I don't want him to have drugs outside of his home or get the things outside of his home stolen. Nobody wants that. I don't want that for Alfred. We joke about the flower pot. I'm joking about the flower pot. I'm furious about Alfred literally taking his time to do this today, surrounded by what he was surrounded by. That doesn't mean I wish him any ill luck or anything. It means this is so frustrating and disgusting. And why isn't anyone paying attention? Why is no one paying attention? Why does no one seem to care? Why are we only live to less than 150 people or fewer? I literally do never know which one to use. But it's, you guys are the ones. You guys are the ones who are funding this. You're the reason that we're here. And you guys understand, you get it. You have that compassion that is missing for so many people. And I wish that we could take all of you and like spread your vibes to the world, because I don't get it. I don't understand how people don't care.
I do understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand why people are. Well, first of all, YouTube isn't showing this to 118,000 subscribers that we have. They haven't been showing our videos, our live streams for three years now. But I think people also are conditioned to be sucked into the distractions. And some people I interviewed today, I asked them about the media, and they said people, the media distracts people with Russia and, food fights going around right now on independent media and all this stuff. Because looking at the reality, kind of depressing, right? Kind of, who wants to see it? I don't want to see it. When I'm in the field, I'm depressed all the time. I feel hopeless quite often. But then I see the comments from viewers. Then I see, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, email, how much people not only want this information, this storytelling, they depend on it. And that kind of lifts me out of my Debbie Downerism a lot. But I'll also point out, we're being fed this bullshit about, things are getting back to normal. Things are getting back to normal. Yeah, they're getting back to the same shitty normal, the same corrupt normal, only worse. And somebody made a point, and thank you, Diane, for the super chat. Thank you if we missed anybody else. Thank you, Trill South, DG Pimp, Fired Up Warrior. Jen is the best. You're
Thank you.
a couple shout outs that they like John and want him on camera more. So,
Nice.
but
You didn't read Diane. Diane said thank you for great journalism and hope for my grandchildren's future.
say hi to the grandbabies.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
want to make the point, and somebody made the point to me. This is not normal. This is not normal. Somebody made the point in the super chat. We are the wealthiest nation on planet Earth. It's just a question of where is the wealth going. Which brings me to anything else?
Well, I do. I want to point out too that it's not only a systemic problem or many systemic problems that lead to homelessness and drug addiction, etc. I also want to point out something that in my time with Kenny and his friends, they, of course couldn't name any names, but there are obviously, because part of the way that folks are able to earn money and take care of themselves is by selling drugs. It's just a reality. And we know specifically that the government, this is not a conspiracy theory, this is literal, this is fact, the government designed it this way so that particularly black communities would be sucked into drugs and selling drugs as part of economy. And this is by design. And you know who comes and buys drugs? Not just drug addict, not just drug addicted houseless folks who are drug addicted for reasons of trauma, for reasons of disease, for reasons of complete despair. But you know who comes down and buys drugs as well? Judges in Philadelphia. Judges. Neurosurgeons. Some of the top neurosurgeons in the entire world. And other, leaders of society. Folks that you would look at and say, oh, they have it all together. the judges, the judges are keeping us safe and doing the right thing. Yeah, you know what? I don't know this for a fact, but some of those judges, what do you want to bet that they've locked away some of the folks that they're buying from, or at least connected in that way? And that's what our society is. So Alfred has no problem with the judges doing drugs or buying drugs and keeping this going, this economy going, this very micro economy, because it's about the downtrodden. They have us fighting one another instead of those in power.
So I want to play another interview, which is a bit longer, so I don't know if we'll play the whole thing. But it is when we first got there, and this was not on the
or can't get relief.
Not homeless people.
This was not on the live stream, if I can find it. Hold the phone, folks. Ooh.
Hold the phone, smash the like button, statusquo.com/text while you're waiting, so that you know when we go live next. You can also simply go to statusquo.com. There's now a push notification, so it should pop up for you, and click yes, so that you want to receive push notifications from us. You can also listen to Jordan's humming. He hasn't been singing as many 90s songs, which I think we've got to get going in the road trip for sure.
This interview might blow your mind, because this Philadelphia activist is spitting serious truth.
Recorded for now. It's on? Hey, it's Jordan, live from Philadelphia. We're in the Kensington neighborhood. To be honest, it's pretty run down. A lot of homeless people live here. And like has been going on for many years, particularly during the pandemic, the police are out making sweeps of encampments of homeless people throughout this area. We just got here, I don't know, it's about like 8 in the morning. I'm here with...
My name is Jamal Henderson. I'm with ACT UP Philadelphia.
And can you kind of talk about, there's been flyers and stuff talking about police today coming out to what they call sweep, which is evict homeless people who have nowhere else to go. It looks right now, from what I've heard, the police are kind of playing this cat and mouse game where they're telling the press they're not going to do it, and then they claim they're just trying to clean up, but they try and get as many people as they can to evict.
Well, this isn't, like you said, this isn't nothing new. Especially in Kensington, this has been going on for at least the last 5 years now. But ultimately, what it is they're trying to force people out of Kensington so that they can gentrify. If you go further down the street, you see a bunch of new condos being built. Lehigh's got, right at Lehigh, they've got this U-Haul place that they're trying to build. This is just an effort to raise the property value so that they can sell the vacant houses that they won't let people live in.
And there's a lot of real estate developers, part of that gentrification, donate to the local politicians. Local politicians look the other way.
One of our local politicians is a real estate developer. Alan Dom is as corrupt as they come. How are you sitting on city council, deciding the fate of all the citizens of this city, and you make money off of selling houses? Right? That's a conflict of interest from the beginning. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. This city's corrupt. We know it's corrupt. The government is as corrupt as they come. I've lived up and down the East Coast. I've never seen nothing like this.
Can you kind of talk about that corruption a little more? How's it corrupt?
Well, when you have universities like Penn and Temple who aren't paying taxes on the property that they own, but they own a good bit of the city, that's corrupt. And the city council, the mayor, they let it happen. So that's corruption. When you have there's enough empty houses in the city to house every person that's on the street, but they won't. The city won't take them by eminent domain. But PHA is able to take people out of housing, promise them different housing, never give it to them, and then sell the housing that they have.
That's the Philadelphia Housing Authority.
Yes.
They're taking people out of housing, promising them housing, and then not following.
Yeah. And I mean, they don't follow through on any of their promises. The encampment that happened at the Parkway, Camp JTD, one of the ways that they ended this was to promise to give up 50 units that would go into a land bank that would be usable by people who dedicated to people who make $25,000 down to nothing per year. This is almost a year later, and those properties haven't been turned over. Why? Because the properties that PHA want to show are properties that's going to cost more money than what people have to fix and renovate. So it was a smoke screen. You know, we'll promise you this to get you out of the way, but we're not really going to carry through with it. And the whole problem with them being on that field that they were in was the fact that a bunch of entitled kids wanted to go play on a field. People need a house to stay in. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You can deal without playing in that field for people to have someplace safe to be, right?
I wanted to ask you about the pandemic because Philadelphia, like many cities, states, has gotten a boatload of money from the federal government to go towards rental relief, supposed to go towards relief, utility relief, relief for the homeless. I just spoke with a homeless individual 2 days ago. He's asking where the money went because it's not going.
That's what I want to know. Because of the pandemic, I'm behind in bills, right? And I applied for this phase 4 money that's supposed to go to your bills. I put my application in May. It's only supposed to take 45 days, right? I put mine in on May the 5th. This is June the 16th. I still haven't heard anything. Still no answer. But yet the city's reallocating funds to the prisons. The city's giving tax breaks to Comcast and all these different major corporations, but they're not investing in their citizens. You know,
Comcast, who owns NBC and MSNBC, by the way.
They're not investing in their citizens. They're not doing anything to help anybody. You hear when OHS sweeps an encampment, they say things like, oh, well, people were connected to services. But their idea of connecting people to services is having somebody from their outreach program come out and talk to them. They don't actually connect them to anything. During the encampment last year, when all people was wanting was affordable, permanent, accessible housing, they send them out there with rapid rehousing vouchers, which are great for a short term. But when we're not making a livable wage, you can't expect somebody to go from having their rent taken care of to, in 2 years max, they're responsible for every bill and they just come out of homelessness. From someone who's been homeless, it takes more than 2 years to put your life back together, right? And depending on what your issue is, it can take longer. When I went from the street to the shelter to a house, that was a 15-month process. When I got to my house, my next problem was, how do I furnish this? How am I going to get back and forth to work? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? On top of paying, I mean, my rent was paid, but I still had like $150 electric bill. I still had gas. I still got water. You know what I mean? You still have other responsibilities. And I was making $7.50 an hour. Plus, I'm riding from Philly to Norristown every day for work. So, if we're not going to talk about the things that are creating poverty, the things that are creating homelessness, and we're not going to deal with those, then we're going to have a homeless problem. And it's that simple.
I want to ask you also, just so viewers know, can you kind of talk about how this goes? Obviously, these sweeps, the police evicting homeless people, they basically are making them move from place to place to place. They take their stuff, they take their property. Can you kind of give a description of how the typical sweep goes?
Well, if you're not there when they sweep, your stuff is gone. They're not putting it in a storage bin and marking where they got it from, or nothing like that, like OHS would have you believe. If you're not there when they sweep, they throw your stuff in the trash. And depending on who's around, they will use the people in that area to violently remove you, as we saw at the encampment last year, right? That the encampment wound up being where some of the leadership who developed out of that then turned around and perpetrated violence on the people who were there, who wasn't willing to just get up and go. They would cut their tents. They would threaten to beat them up. Like, I don't know. Yeah, so, and that's not going to solve the problem either, right? It's been almost a year, and I can go to Center City, and if I walk around long enough, I will run into at least one person who was at that encampment who is still not housed, right? And if they're not from the encampment, then they're from the COVID hotels that was shut down when people was promised that when you leave here, you're going into permanent housing. That didn't happen.
They temporarily put people in hotels, but then only a few months later evicted them, promising them permanent housing, which you're saying didn't happen.
When they put them in the hotel, and you can find this footage on the internet because I've seen it, Liz Hurst said that they can expect to go from the hotel into permanent housing, and that didn't happen. They put them in the hotel. They understaffed the caseworkers that was supposed to be going out there. And then when they ran out of money, rather than applying for the other money that was there, they just cut off the hotels. And one of their things was, we got to worry about the tourist industry that's re-emerging from the pandemic. This was December. Nobody was doing any tourism. We were still full-fledged in the pandemic. So you could have kept those hotels going. You know, when the pandemic first started, and I saw it on the news, there was people at Terminal A at the Philadelphia International Airport, and they were reporting on how bad that was, right? But what never got covered was the fact that the city paid the Marriott at the airport $200,000 for people to be in COVID-safe environments, but you still allow people in Terminal A to be in unsafe and unsanitary conditions. That hotel never got used. The city claims that they were getting the money back, but I haven't heard anything else about it. I haven't seen anything else about it. So the Marriott basically got $200K to do nothing. So of course there wasn't money to keep the places that was actually helping poor people funded, because you pissed it out a window like you do every time.
You know, you're talking about money. They seem to have a lot of money for police in Philadelphia and many other cities. I don't know what the budget here is, but I'm sure it's too much. They seem to have a lot of money for, you know, salaries for government officials, this, that, and the other thing. But they keep saying they're out of money for rental relief, for the homeless.
They have money for what they want to have money for. That's what corruption's all about, right? Like they'll fund what they want to fund, because why would you want to pay to house people when our carceral system profits from people being in jail? And why would you want to pay for people to get the medical treatment that they need when it's easier to just shoot and kill somebody going through a mental health episode, right? That it costs less to bury somebody than it does to make sure that they're actually getting the care that they need. And I'm not saying that I advocate for that, but I can see that that's how people think, right? Today there's supposed to be counter-protesters out here who are like our quality of life is being impacted. Well, what about the quality of life of these people on the street, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, they have to understand, or they need to understand, that homeless people aren't their enemy. It's the city. Kenny and council are corrupt. And until that's changed, it's going to stay that way.
I want to ask you, on a kind of a bigger picture level, you got President Biden, the Democrats, a lot in the media. There's this framing that, you know, oh, we're getting back to normal. Things are getting back to normal. Coronavirus cases are way down. You know, more people are being vaccinated. We're back to normal. Well, I'm going around, and it seems like we're just back to the shitty normal that's only getting worse.
If back to normal means we're back to being underpaid, it means we're back to being worked like dogs, it means that they're back to harassing homeless people, you can keep your fucking normal. Woo! We need a new normal. And the new normal means it needs to be housing as a human right.
Preach!
healthcare as a human right, looking out for the. I don't know why the people at the top don't understand that when you raise the bottom, the top is going to go up too, right? Because if the bottom is higher, then the top is higher. But this whole we're going to govern from the top down, it's not working. It hasn't worked in the history of this country, right? And until we change the way that we're doing things and we start looking at this in a whole different light, which is where I was going with the counter protesters, right? When they can understand that the narrative that you get when they come out to cover protests and all of that is not always what it is. Those of us who are out here trying to help homeless people, when we talk amongst ourselves, one of the things that we talk about is, well, how can we help the residents also? Because we hear what the residents of Kensington are saying about how they feel that homeless people get more help than they do. How they have issues with the fact that they're suffering too, but nobody seems to care. Some of us do, and we're trying to figure out how we can support them also. But when you stop and look at urgency of needs, right? I think somebody having a house or someplace safe and secure that they can keep their belongings, that they can rest their head, so that they can begin to build their life, that's a little more urgent than somebody who's already in a home. I am housed now, and I spend a lot of my time, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm housed now. So I spend a lot of my time trying to make sure that the people who are in a situation that I came from get the same kind of help that I got. And if we all thought like that, this country would be a different place.
I also think for the residents that are complaining, you know, understand they're frustrated, but they have air conditioning during the summer. They have heat during the winter. They have basic things that keep you comfortable, alive in some cases, that nobody out here has.
Well, I mean, when you hear residents' complaints, you hear things like, oh, well, they're shitting in the street, or they're using on the corner, or we have to see them performing sex work on the street. Well, how many people are using in their house? How many people have a toilet that they can go take a shit in? How many people do sex work, but they're doing it from the comfort of somebody's home? You know what I mean? The difference is they don't have a home. They do not have someplace that is theirs where they can do whatever it is that they do behind closed doors like everybody else does.
And my last question, you know, I think it's important for people to understand the media is a big part of the problem. The local media doesn't really dive deep into this corruption that I know about. They don't dive deep into, you know, they'll cover sweeps and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like they're out interviewing homeless people. It doesn't seem like they're telling the stories of the homeless people, the most vulnerable, but they will tell, you know, more clicky stories. Can you kind of talk about the local media here?
I mean, do we see local media out here right now? I've been out here since 7 o'clock. I've seen you, the Inquirer, and WHYY. Where's Fox? Where's ABC? Where's NBC? Where's Telemundo? They're all out here. They're all in the city. But where are they out here covering the stuff that really matters? Right? But they'll be reporting on Biden going to Russia to meet with Putin.
Like it's the Super Bowl.
Like, they're worried about Kamala going to the border instead because she ain't been there yet. So fucking what? Right? I mean, we gotta get to the point where we worry about the stuff that matters and leave the stuff that don't matter to us personally to the people who's handling it.
Say one more time your name and your organization.
My name is Jamal Henderson, and I'm with ACT UP Philadelphia.
Jamal, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Wow. I just want to say, you know, you can now get our merchandise underneath the store. You can now get our merchandise underneath the YouTube page. I think we got to make a shirt. Fuck your normal.
I like it. That's great.
I want to make a shirt. Fuck your normal. Maybe we'll send a little money Jamal's way for the idea. We have the great quote from Veronica 2 days ago who said, the Republican Party is a horror show, the Democratic Party is a fantasy. I mean, we're getting such amazing, powerful, I don't even want to call them sound bites, just truth from real people. And we're getting it because we're going to them. We're getting it because we're driving insane distances. We're going to Cleveland next. The plan is West Virginia after that. We'll see how we're on money. Possibly Kentucky. I mean, my back is killing me, but you don't find out what's really happening from a studio. Yeah, you could investigate from home and do things, but you don't find out unless you go. And the rest of the media, frankly, including a lot of independent media, don't have the desire to go in the trenches. Not saying it's a bad thing if you have a show from your home or studio and just give commentary. There's a place for everyone. But this is crucial to get these stories out. And look what we're dealing with, folks. I mean, does it make sense to you that we have 118,000 subscribers and we're struggling to crack 200 live viewers? Does that make sense? Does it make sense that I have, I don't even know, 116,000 Twitter followers and I'm getting like 7 retweets on tweets? This is not for my ego or vanity. This is, I want these clips to be seen. Not so I could grow my following, but so these people's voices can be heard. Does it make sense that Status Coup, not my Twitter, Status Quo's Twitter, has 71,000 followers? And literally, I have to send our tweets via private direct message to everybody, their mother, and their dog. And I don't know, maybe we'll get up to 50, 60 retweets. Again, the retweets aren't for our ego or vanity. It's to get these clips out, to get this truth out. Do people know beyond Philadelphia that they have real estate executives as elected officials? That should be illegal. It's a blatant conflict of interest. You know, the CNN and them make a big stink, rightly so, about Dianne Feinstein. Well, not really Dianne Feinstein. Who was the Georgia lunatic who ran, who was selling her stock before COVID, politicians selling stock on insider trading. You have real estate developers making laws, holding up actual reform in Philadelphia city government, and I'm pretty sure it's not the only city that's happening. And if they're not on city council, they've bought city council. And meanwhile, listen, I'm not like a defender of Russia, but the media is infested with this McCarthyite new Cold War reenactment bullshit. We're out here in the trenches speaking with homeless people, people facing eviction, activists, professors suing the city. And we're competing with Russian hysteria. Frankly, we're competing, let's just say it, with a lot of YouTube channels doing nothing but clickbait. We need your help. I'm just going to flat out say we need your help. We don't have any corporate investors. We don't want any corporate investors. I mean, you know the story. We've grown this from the bottom up through a GoFundMe and growing our membership and, you know, specific trips. We did particular fundraisers like we have right now. If you're not in a position to help, we understand. If you can, any amount, obviously larger amounts make a big difference. Food's very expensive. Parking, you have no idea. I think we've already spent maybe $120 to $150 on parking. The hotels are a scam with parking. Streets are a scam with parking. I need your help. I'm just being genuinely honest. It's wildly expensive. Obviously, we pay John gas. Part of why we're not flying is to save money. Road trip. Part of why we're not flying is no flights. We don't have to rent the cars and drive across multiple states with a car, which gets more expensive because if you drop off a car in a different state, it's wildly expensive. Like I said, parking, food, hotel, any equipment needs. It's expensive. And part of why other outlets don't do it is because they're owned by corporations who only care about profit. So they don't want to spend this money. Please, statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. The other pandemic is America, folks. The other pandemic is America. Your turn.
You know how you know that we're not just reporting from a studio, that we don't just sit on our bottoms and talk to a camera about what other people are reporting on? Because this is what we have. This is what we've been carrying around this trip. Veronica gave us this. It's an overdose rescue kit. And inside it has Narcan. Because we're reporting on the ground with folks who need this. There are those who are unhoused who carry Narcan. There are volunteers who carry Narcan around, and some of those people revive multiple folks a day who are addicted, and it's not their fault that they're addicted. As I mentioned near the top of the show, I interviewed, and we will post soon, tomorrow hopefully, an interview with someone just like me. You know, she worked in a corporate job. Not that I work in a corporate job, but she's my age. You know, similar backgrounds, and she was prescribed by her doctor. She was prescribed an opiate by her doctor for pain, and then she got drug addicted, and she needed things like Narcan. And so that's how you know that we are actually out in the field, is because I have literally been carrying this around everywhere, because it's everywhere and it's needed. And that is how you know we're on the ground. That is how you know we're not just sitting on our asses in a studio. We're out there. And I don't know what you're showing me.
New YouTube member.
Yeah, so I will announce that soon. So I want to thank everybody who has supported us already, and I want you to know that your money is going to extremely important reporting. And so you can think of this, I say this all the time, with the stories that Jordan and I do on Flint. You guys are the reason we're able to investigate and report on those stories. The interview that you just saw with Jamal, the interview you will see with Kenny, who I was talking about, that's because of you guys. You can literally pat yourselves on the back, because you're the only reason we're here. We have a passion for this. We have a drive for this. We want to be out in the field reporting. I have to be very honest. I was so sick with long hauler COVID, I thought I would never be able to report again. I thought I would never be able to take a reporting trip like this again. You can find the video. I posted a video of me being devastated because this was, I thought, over for me. And so I value what we do. I always have, but I value it probably 10 times more now. Because when you see these people and how grateful they are to just simply have a microphone to speak into, to tell their story, that matters, and that's important. And whatever it's, everyone has a role. In studio reporting has a role, but this is important. And if you are, we completely understand if you can't, but if you're at all able to support this trip to help us keep going, to help tell more stories like Jamal's, like Kenny, like so many people. Kazim, that interview, that it's already up, it's posted. Kazim, you have to watch it. That's what you guys are helping us do. You can truly feel good about supporting Status Quo, and in particular supporting this road trip, So please, truly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to keep going. I want to keep telling people's stories. So I don't want to get emotional. It is emotional though. So statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic.
And just want to give some shout outs here. Thank you so much. Taylor Whiteside, $20. Maybe one day you'll buy your own rocket ship. It won't be Amazon sponsored. I can promise you that.
No way.
Welcome new YouTube member, Sheila Marler. Woo-hoo! So folks, if you don't know, next to the subscribe button, there's now a join button. And it's for YouTube membership. And it's, we're still going to grow our paid membership through our website, which is our main business model. If you're not a member, statuscoup.com/join. But this is just another option that's right on the YouTube page if you have the means to support us. Your YouTube members, just like patrons, just like our website members, will be getting behind-the-scenes content. How much is YouTube membership?
So we have 3 different options. You can join for as low as $3 a month. And there's another option that's $5 a month. And for those who do find it that they can financially do this, there's a $25 option. It's $24.99. And you get a variety of things depending on which level you choose. We of course have our statuscoup.com/join membership. There's some overlap, but the thing about YouTube is, for one thing, we're testing it to see if it helps boost the YouTube algorithm, whatever. But it also gives you cool perks, like you can use Jordan or a Jenn emoji or a Jordan with confusion around his head emoji.
There's an emoji for that?
Yes, we were talking about it live the other day.
Is there a Jordan with the Moses stick?
I remember. We can make one.
We'll
make one. And there's a Bernie mittens emoji. So, and you also get priority depending on your level. You get like a little badge next to your name if you remember. So there's fun things like that. We are also posting member videos. I recorded one right when we came back today from Kensington. It was my initial thoughts on the day. And so yeah, I'm going to be posting that for members. And it does help us. It really does help us. So we have that option. I also, I do want to say though that we do have immediate needs for this trip, for funding for this trip. So we love membership. It's so important. It's how we're going to grow and continue, and it's consistent kind of income for the company that we can count on and use to grow as a company. But we have short-term needs for this trip specifically, to eat dinner, to book a hotel, and so that's why we point you, and that's why we made the specific trip fundraiser page. And also on that page, it's cool, statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. I'm updating daily, kind of a blog style. I post behind the scenes pictures there. I tell you what we've done. I link to the day's reporting. So it's a great page for you to bookmark and keep up with what we're doing on this trip. And yeah, it serves both purposes. You can support us there, and you can keep up to date on the trip. And I want to read the names of those who supported us via that page so far today. Thank you so much, Deborah, Fred, Annette, Scott, Daniel, Nicholas, David, Adam, Victor, Lydia. It's refreshing. It's turning to the next page. Hold that thought. James, Carol, and then we have folks who supported us on previous days. This is only day 3. But you can support us at any amount. It has different options available for whatever your preference is. Statuscoup.com/theotherpandemic. For those who just want to whip out their phone and do a quick Cash App, we do have Cash App now. So it's $statuscoup, and any amount is incredibly appreciated there as well.
And we're going to make a Cash App for $flower pot so we could replace Alfred's flower pot too. No, I'm just kidding. $statuscoup. And I want to also add, and I'm not trying to stir controversy here or anything like that, but listen, everybody's got a different definition of what makes someone progressive and what doesn't. But there are progressive hosts who I like and I respect. And this is not to point anyone specific out. Jen and I were talking about it, and it's just, I got to tell you something. It's extremely frustrating when, obviously, we do not expect other channels who are working very hard, churning out content, this and that, to take it on themselves to market for us or do our, advertise us for us. Of course not. But it does get a little dumbfounding that we can't even get a lot of these people to just share the videos, share the tweets. They're too busy just tweeting about hot takes and bullshit and food fights on Twitter. This is from people I respect. We got to give tough love somebody to even, comrades in progressive media, independent media. I'm sending interviews with construction workers evicted during the pandemic and been sleeping in a park. They're not covering these things. We're not even asking. We'd love to come on your show so we could get the clips out, but we're not even asking for. I've said, hey, if you want to cover this, here's the video. Happy to come on, but if not, you could cover it. And from some, have said, yeah, I'll share it. Well, if you truly are progressive and you truly care about these issues, why are you not amplifying it? Not for status quo, but for the actual topics at hand. We're not asking you to donate to our company. We're just asking you to cover things that you say you care about. I don't think that's a lot to ask. I fully understand that there's, this thing right now between Jimmy and my former company. We got other things going on here. Very important things. So I'm not getting involved. But I really hope that I'm not wrong. And I really hope that not just progressive media hosts, but the viewers still understand what the most important things in this country are. And it's these issues that we're showing you in the trenches. It's not the food fights and the clickbait on Twitter and YouTube. And I don't know, Jen.
It's frustrating to see channels that we'd like and have dramatically fewer subscribers than we do go live on some bullshit and get 10,000 viewers or 2,000 viewers or whatever, and then it's here we are, as Jordan said, these are the issues that not you, the general you, that you purport to care about, and here you are just perpetuating just dumb, who cares stuff that, whatever. This is what matters. This is really what matters. And that's why I said it earlier. I'll say it again. That's why you guys are the real deal. You're the ones. You're the ones who care enough to be watching this right now and supporting this reporting right now, instead of once again some bullshit. So I thank you so much. We have some more shout outs. Thank you so much to Denise and to Cynthia for the Cash App support. That is incredible. We really, really appreciate you so much. I also want to make sure that I read all of the super chats that have come in, because super chats are also incredibly helpful, and that's why we have so many avenues now for where people can support us, and I think that's good. You've got options, and the support is rolling in, and we do appreciate it. We do need more support. So Trill South, thank you so much. Taylor, thank you. Andy P. Denise Columbia again. Yar. Cool Beans. I think that cool beans is a phrase that should be brought back and used. I'm gonna resurrect it. Cool Beans. Diane, thank you. Diane again, thank you. Trill South, Digipimp. We did read some of these. Daryl, Diane again, And then we have some new patrons that joined. Devonte, welcome. Emma, welcome. Jean Scheid again, supporting us incredibly. So this is you. This is all you. You're the reason. You're the reason that these stories are getting out. So keep it coming. We definitely appreciate you.
And I want to just answer somebody who I think their point was valid. Sorry if I don't remember your name who said this, but they said, your other channels' focus is different. Other channels, focus is different, mission is different, whatever. Of course. Yeah. We're not trying to dictate what other channels or other hosts' agenda is or focus is. But overall, and I've been talking about this for a long time, there is no chance for independent media to ever counter the manufacturing consent that happens in national, state, and local media if we all live on our own little islands and don't collaborate, elevate each other, amplify, whether it's reporting, commentary, whatever. Have each other's back. I've called for a long time all of us coming together for a network, which for many reasons doesn't seem to be happening. But it's not about other channels have different, do your thing, Jordan, don't worry about the other channels. Well, we got to worry because the truth is, if I was doing this 4 years ago at the Young Turks, who is not suppressed on YouTube at all, we'd probably be live right now, or these interviews would be live to 1,000 viewers live, maybe more. These videos would be getting 10, 20,000 views. Trust me, it's not because it was TYT. It's only because the algorithm on these platforms is rigged. I was able to grow TYT Politics from 2,000 subscribers when I started to 140,000 in less than a year. I think I had something to do with it. I think the reporting we were doing had something to do with it. Standing Rock, Flint, the campaign trail, interviewing Bernie supporters. But you know what also helped? YouTube didn't start their suppression, demonetization, censorship at that point. Everybody had an equal opportunity to be seen. That is not the case anymore. So the reason I'm not calling out specific hosts, we're just asking people to realize, be the change you want to see in the world. I know that's corny. It doesn't take a lot to share these tweets. It doesn't take a lot once in a blue moon to cover live streams we do or interviews we do. Whatever you think we're not dictating to you what's the story here. You watch it. What do you think? Give your analysis. Give your commentary. I don't think that's like a huge ask, frankly. So, of course, we're not trying to dictate what anybody does. We're just trying to remind people. I think most of the people on YouTube and independent media got into this to elevate these people's voices, to focus on these issues that no one else is covering in the corporate media. So that's all we're talking about. I also want to address, I also want to answer this question. I screenshotted it. Somebody asked, Mrs. Carter, status quo, do you have items we could sponsor? Jen, how would that work?
Yeah, we could definitely set that up. For example, you could sponsor hotel rooms for Ohio, for example, or whatever's in your heart. I don't think you would mind me saying this, but Chris Garrett was the OG Chris Garrett was incredibly generous and sponsored a dinner for us that we can't wait to use. So something like that is very helpful. You can email us, or if it's something specific that you have in mind, you can support and then put in the notes like what it's to be designated for. You can earmark it.
Could be gas, it could be a hotel, it could be food, it could be not like for the whole trip if you don't have that kind of resources, but for a night, for 2 nights, whatever, we could work it out with you. Feel free to email us info@statuscoup.com. Thank you, Amy Vermillion. What? WTF? I just got a text message from Nancy Pelosi. I support you guys for the best journalism out there. Want to make a sign and stand out the corner. See if anyone joins me here in West Virginia. Hey, Amy, if you're in West Virginia, you best be going to our Substack, our new Substack. We got 2 exclusive stories on your corrupt state Democratic Party, which, by the way, is basically run by Joe Manchin. If you haven't seen it, on our new Substack, for everybody watching, go to our Substack. That's statuscoup.substack.com. You could become a member there for free. There's also paid options. It's another way for us to basically try and get around this YouTube stuff by creating different sources of revenue. So, I don't know, I think we have like 30 or so paid members now at the Substack. We've only done like, 7 or 8 posts, so that's pretty decent. We want more people to sign up for paid subscribers to Substack. You will get some articles will just be for paid subscribers. A lot of stuff will be for free. Obviously, within your means. We know people donate to a bunch of different things, whether it's media, politicians, but we really appreciate all of your support.
I want to address, Sheila asked if YouTube support does help towards the trip. It definitely does. I probably phrased it confusingly. So when you join, for example, you just join the YouTube membership, that's so helpful. YouTube just takes a while to get us the money, if that makes any sense. So that's all I was referring to. Yeah. But becoming a member is truly how Status Coup keeps going month to month, because that's true business income that we can count on, and we have true deliverables for that as perks for members. So the road trip fundraising is it's just simply like a more specified type of support.
And MT Unit, $2, great work, thank you. Kilkity B, $5. Really like your coverage in Kensington earlier today. Thank you. I hope it didn't intimidate you. Thank you so much. I don't know if we missed any other. I love that we got a new YouTube member. So here's the deal, folks. Always subject to change. Always subject to change, because frankly we've been flaked on quite a bit in the past. We're headed to Cleveland tomorrow, Ohio. It's a long drive from here, probably 6.5 hours, I think, from Philly to Cleveland. It's a long drive. Have some interviews I think you're going to like, specifically one individual. We're not announcing it yet until we have it, nailed shut. I think you kind of can guess some things. This person might have been in the news today. Did you see Hillary?
Wow, real hard.
Hard to guess.
Real hard blind item here.
We're also.
It's not the new NT.
We're also looking at the Democratic Socialists of America, which is a lot of chapters in cities across America, is actually doing an eviction canvassing on Saturday, which basically, once they get the list of people who got new eviction notices, they go door to door to try and tell them their rights, resources, all those things. So we might follow that. There's some other interviews we're trying to line up in Cleveland. And then from there, honestly, it just really depends on what resources we have. Going to many states, driving many hours, the food, the gas, extending the trip. It's wildly expensive. And, so we could only go as far as you take us. I'll also say we don't want to give you too much homework. Of course, our main business model is membership. We started it before everyone else started doing it. We knew we could not rely on YouTube only. If you can, sign up as a Status Coup member. We're going to do our monthly members call when we get back. statuscoup.com/join.
We're going to do one on the road.
We might do one on the road. Statuscoup.com/join. Statuscoup.com/join.
Mrs. Carter asks, how much more total money do we need for this trip? A few $1,000s, to be very honest with you. That is how much we told, we talked about parking, food for 3 people, gas, the live view, which is the device that we use to go live in the field, not attached to, the Wi-Fi connection or whatever. So this live view allows us to go live. It's all incredibly expensive. Sending text messages because we're so suppressed, it's very expensive, and it really adds up. So yeah, our fundraising goal was $6,000 total, and so we're for sure a few $1,000s away from that still. So we're hopeful, we're pressing on, and just saying some prayers that it comes through, because there's some really important reporting that we want to be able to do that is close to our hearts as people, but also valuable journalistically. Like, I want to go back to Louisville to report further on Breonna Taylor's murder. Where's justice for Breonna? Why is no one talking about her anymore? So it truly is, like, not patting ourselves on the back, but it truly is up to us to do this style of reporting in the way that only Status Coup does it. So I hope that answers your question. And yeah, I mean, you guys can know and feel secure that your funds are being used in the right way, in a way you can be proud of.
And if you have any ideas, or if you're in Cleveland area, West Virginia, Kentucky, email us, info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. If you want to ask, if you want to sponsor something, feel free to email us, info@statuscoup.com. And I think it's time we all eat, pee, poop.
Sounds fun.
Pee, poop, eat. Hope that's not TMI. I hope you enjoyed the interviews.
Sure it is.
We actually have more stuff that we recorded.
A lot more.
So we're going to
Hours more.
be putting that up as we go. And also, I want, Jen, can you remind everybody how they sign up for the push alerts?
Yeah, just go to statuscoup.com and it'll pop right up for you. You got to be using Firefox or Chrome. And Safari has like some weird thing you have to do that we haven't done yet that I don't know how to do. But we'll figure that out. But for now, open up Chrome or Firefox, statuscoup.com. You'll get a pop-up. I put a cute like smiley face on the yes side, so clearly that's the side. But seriously, push yes and you'll get push notifications.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks, John, behind the camera. By the way, we were live for like 2 hours. John, I told him next time you're going to have to get a diaper because he had to badly pee, so did I. I don't think you guys realize, like, we're older men now.
Why are we?
I'm 34, 35.
It's potty time with status.
I'm turning 35 soon, and, I got to pee like every hour and a half. So it could get a little much.
I almost gave you the camera and the live view.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Go.
So, we're getting sunburned. We got to pee, all those things. All right. Sorry, that was a tangent. Thank you for Thank you for watching. If anything else breaks, obviously we'll go live. And we will start. We'll probably go live from the car tomorrow, too, on our drive to Cleveland. So thank you so much for watching. And sign up for our text list, too. Right?
Statuscoup.com/text.
Statuscoup.com/text.
You can't give people too much.
Sorry, I'm giving you too much.
Pee and poop and signing up and just, it's okay. It's okay. We love you all. You guys know what to do. You got it from here.
Wow, poor Jen. Status P. #status P.
I know, right?
All right. Love you. Bye.